What's up and happy mental push-up Monday, baby. We here. If this is your first time joining, my name is Andrea Fitzgerald. I'm an author, a speaker, an educator, and also a person really obsessed with personal growth and development. So each week we get in the gym and we do our mental push-ups because the most challenging yet rewarding work that we will ever do is own ourselves. So let's get right into it. The title of today's mental push-up is Be Willing to Get Your Shoes Dirty. So I was talking to my therapist a few weeks ago, and we were discussing. I was telling her, I was like, I was like, gosh, man, I had these ahas and our sessions, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I this thing is coming to my awareness. I said, sometimes I just want to be an expert already. Like I want to just be good at it already. And she said, the thing about it is it's a process, but being willing to get your shoes dirty, that's how you get better at it. Because I said, something she always tells me, you get good at what you practice, but it's also, you got to be willing to make mistakes in order to get there. Because if you are not skilled in something yet, like it takes time to get there. And so as I thought about that idea, I said, I know for me sometimes I really want to keep my shoes clean, because I want to know that I want to feel like I know exactly what I'm doing. But when you are trying something new, when you are putting yourself out there, when you are going beyond what you have currently done, it feels very uncomfortable and it can feel a little awkward. But we got to be willing to get our shoes dirty. So I want to share with you a few ideas around be willing to get your shoes dirty. Let's get right into it. Number one, you are exactly where you need to be. A lot of times, as I said before, we can look around and say to ourselves, like, man, I should have this figured out. Why should this be so hard? And the reality is we are exactly where we are supposed to be. The work that I'm doing right now currently is around my ego. Y'all, I be wanting to be right. Like, I'm like, oh, I want to be right. And it does not work in connection nor in relationships. And so when I reflect back on the fact that 6 years ago when I started on my journey of personal growth, I don't know if I would have been able to process it and allow that to come into my awareness or even receive the feedback of how I was showing up. I don't know if I would have been able to receive that. So now, because of the work that I've done from 6 years ago to now, it set me up to be able to receive that information, to be able to be like, okay, this is what it is. Let's figure out what we can do to grow ourselves in this area. But the thing about it is shame and growth cannot coexist. If we're saying to ourselves, I should be a certain place, I should already have this figured out, then it's going to be very challenging to grow because we have not accepted where we currently are. And you are exactly where you are supposed to be in this very moment. Number two, growth is messy. Oftentimes, we can forget what it truly takes to be really successful at anything or master anything. Like we can often say, well, okay, I got it figured out. And we think of growth as like a linear process. And most times it's not like that. Like you have ups, you have downs, you go up a little bit, then you go back down, then you go all the way up, then you fall back down. Like it's a process. And as I think about that, I think about one thing I know that I can do is I can hoop. I can hoop, but I did not become a hooper overnight. Like I had a lot of lulls, I had a lot of failures, I had a lot of things that contributed to me becoming a great basketball player. I got cut from multiple basketball teams. I sat on a bench. I couldn't dribble with my left hand. I couldn't make a left hand layup. I shot with two hands. I mean, all the things. But it is a process to becoming great. And every time that I failed, I took a lesson from it. And so oftentimes what we can do, we can forget that's like, if you think about something that you are just really good at right now, you like, oh, I know I'm cold at that. Like, tell me something different. Nobody can, right? But what was the process for you to get there? I bet it was messy. I bet you messed up sometimes. I bet you got it right a few days. And then you learned something, you made some adjustments. And that's what we have to keep in mind because it gives us a bigger perspective and allows us to understand we are not experts yet, but we will get there. It is a process, so understand that growth is messy. Also, keep in mind the flip side of that is that courage builds confidence. We will become confident and skilled by doing the thing over and over and over, even if it does not feel comfortable. I think that sometimes I know for me, like I said, I want to keep my shoes clean. I want to look like I already know what I'm doing. But the reality is, the more that we do it, we become better at it. Like I was telling my sister a few weeks ago about writing speeches. I remember it used to take me like weeks to write a speech, where now I could probably craft a speech in probably like 10-15 minutes. But that's because I've done it over and over. So I feel very confident in my ability to do that because I've done it so many times. I had the courage to keep getting in front of people. I had the courage to keep writing speeches. Even these vlogs is a form of me speaking. Like, I'm doing it over and over and over by putting myself out here. I'm becoming more confident. I know this is something that I'm skilled in. So be willing to do it. One of the quotes that I read before, they said, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is doing it in spite of the fear. It is inevitable. Fear is a normal emotion. It's just being willing to take the step anyway. And that's really how you will become confident at the thing that you want to do. So just think about it. Like, what is that thing that you maybe want to do? Step into that. Be courageous. Do the thing. Number 4, measure the progress, not the perfection, or are you there yet? We have the goal, obviously, like you have the thing that you are seeking. Like one of the things I know for me is, like I said, I'm managing my ego. That's the work right now, guys. That's, you know how Yama says, do your work, beloved. That's my work, beloved. That's it. That's what we in. I think sometimes I know for myself is I can get very frustrated if I'm like, dang, I did it again, Whereas the flip side to that is looking at the progress I've made. That's the thing about having a growth mindset, is that we're understanding that from every opportunity we are going to learn something. So focus on progress. It might look like maybe arguing and fighting to be right 20 times. Oh my gosh, I only did it 10. So it's not about I do it perfectly every single day. I think that's something that I've learned so much from therapy that's really changed my mind. It's not about like, oh, now you know it, now it's just gonna be perfect. Nope, probably not gonna work out like that. But I can look at, wow, several years ago I would have handled this a lot differently. 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, I would have handled this a lot differently than I am right now. So focus on the progress that you're making towards that thing that you are getting your shoes dirty around. Last one is, eventually that thing will become automatic, one step at a time. So I've been reading this book, Mastery, by Robert Greene. I think that's his name. Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power, but that guy. But one of the things that he says, it's like the last page of the book. He says the thing about it is, the more that you do something, once you master that skill, he said, you open your mind up to be able to master other skills, because that thing that once you master something, it becomes automatic. It's like a part of you. It's just a habit. It's just what you do. And so that's my hope. That's my hope for my growth around managing my ego and fighting to be right. That's my hope for that, is that eventually it will be okay. I've managed that. And so that's the thing about it. Once you do something over and over, as messy as it is, it will become automatic to you. It will be something that you just do and you don't even have to think about it. And then you'll make room in your brain for another skill. So just keep that in mind. And so as we close out, I just wanted to share with you a quick story as we think about getting our shoes dirty. When I was in high school, my coach asked me my senior year to do the triple jump. And I had never done it before. So the first time I did it, I had on the wrong shoes. I lost. Made some adjustments, put on some spikes, did the second time, lost again. And then I did it the third time. Jumped a little further, but still lost. Jumped the fourth time, lost again. And then the crazy thing about it, I lost to the same person 4 times. Well, the very last time I jumped this state, I won. And throughout that process, I had to be willing to get my shoes dirty. I had to be willing to have the wrong shoes on. I had to be willing to be awkward. I had never done it before. I had to be willing to not have the correct form. But if I never took the risk to do the thing, I won the state, it wouldn't have happened. And so just think about that in mind. Like, keep that in mind. Like, you have things that you want for yourself. You have things that you want to grow in. Maybe it's a podcast you want to start, or a vlog, or a TV show. Whatever it is, that thing that you want to do, you got to be willing to get your shoes dirty. Be willing to mess up. Be willing to be awkward. Be willing to look crazy to go after that thing that you want. So I want you to drop in the comments, what is that one small thing that you're gonna do to commit to this week and to get your shoes dirty? For me, it's gonna be shutting up. That's mine for me this week. I'm going to shut up instead of fighting to be right. So thank you all so much for tuning in. If this video added some value, share, subscribe, like, all of that. And as I always say, this week, be bold, be brave, and most importantly, friends, be you. And I'm out.